Today I'll be reading an excerpt from Ali Jolie's Substack post, The Adaptation We Don't Talk About Enough, Dissociation as Devotion. They're not lying. They've simply learned not to feel what would be dangerous to know. I'll be reading this mostly in her words, as she's written it here in the article, with some of my words added in for personal context or further explanation. Many people insist that they are not in pain while their bodies tell a different story. They say they're fine, but their breath is shallow. Their shoulders hover near their ears and their hands tremble imperceptibly when describing the last time they were dismissed, blamed, or belittled by somebody they loved. They're not lying. They've simply learned not to feel what it would be dangerous to know. The body is not waiting for proof. It responds to pattern, not narrative. It responds to tone, not text. It responds to threat, even when that threat is cloaked in love. This is called neuroception, the nervous system's constant, subconscious scanning for cues of safety or danger within the environment. Unlike perception, which is conscious, neuroception does not wait for logic. It acts on sensation, posture, and pitch. In harmful relational dynamics, this is what happens first. The body tenses, the breath shortens, the gut tightens, long before the mind can form the words that this is not okay. This dissonance between the body and the story is often the first clue. But it becomes more complicated. When attachment is on the line, when the nervous system perceives that love, safety, or connection could be lost, the body chooses survival over truth. And that's when we begin to gaslight ourselves. In somatic psychotherapy, often dissociation is described as a trauma response. But it's more than that. It's also a relational strategy. Dissociation is not always a dramatic freeze. Often it's subtle, strategic, and deeply relational. Countless people will arrive disconnected from their own pain, not because they're detached, but because they've become exquisitely attuned to somebody else's. We've learned to track every mood, every pause, every shift in a partner's face. We've learned to silence the discomfort in our own body so we do not overreact. We've learned that staying regulated for somebody else is the only way to stay connected. This is adaptive dissociation. And it's brilliant, if not deeply heartbreaking. It's the fawn response, a lesser discussed trauma pattern that blends appeasement with self-erasure. It's the child who learned to be pleasing, calm, low needs, agreeable, chill, in order to stay safe or cared for. And it's the adult who still disappears into the needs of others, believing that love must be earned through performance. The thing is, these people do not present as chaotic. They often present as composed, competent, overly understanding. But underneath, their bodies tell a different truth. Shallow breath, pelvic tension, chronic fatigue, shut down digestion, and often no memory of what they even wanted in the first place. It's the client who says, "I remember the good times," as their body flinches at recalling them. It's the moment a person's voice softens, their story flattens, their gaze drifts, because to feel would threaten the very attachment they still long to perceive. This isn't dissociation as dysfunction. This is dissociation as loyalty, as love, as the only available path to belonging when boundaries weren't allowed. Gaslighting from another erodes trust in reality, while gaslighting from ourselves erodes trust in our body. Why do we do it? Because when we're wired for insecure attachment, or when we've grown up in unpredictable emotional climates, our nervous system learns that connection requires contortion, that love is conditional, that feeling too much might make us too much. We've become fluent in self-doubt because certainty has never felt safe. We confuse vigilance with love. We start to believe that if we feel hurt, we must have misunderstood. The child who internalized, "it must be me," becomes the adult who rationalizes red flags, who narrates harm as a communication breakdown, who bends towards the person causing them pain rather than listening to a signal from within. When the story we tell ourselves doesn't match the truth our body carries, we begin to split. Not visibly, quietly. One part of us carries the fear. Another part tells us to be grateful. One part aches to leave. Another reminds us how much we'd miss them. In somatic terms, we've become fragmented. Nervous system responses firing in multiple directions at once. Unable to settle. This chronic inner conflict isn't just confusing, it's exhausting. And often that exhaustion becomes the tipping point. When we finally leave, break down, blow up, it's not because we're sure, it's because we're too tired to keep pretending. Healing does not begin with certainty. It begins with permission. To feel, to grieve, to remember. Permission to believe the body even when the mind still wants to argue. Your body has never stopped telling the truth. Even when you silenced it, your body never stopped telling you the truth. Even when you blamed it, your body never stopped telling you the truth. Even when you abandoned it to survive, your body waited to tell you the truth. Somatic healing is not about regulating your feelings or nervous system. Somatics is about building capacity to stay present with whatever is happening inside of you, around you, and how they influence one another. Somatics are about recognizing the tightness in your throat as a boundary, the knot in your stomach as a signal, the silence after a conversation as a rupture, not a coincidence. It's learning to listen to what your body says before your mind edits it. Because what happens with time, and what makes somatics as laboratory healing and amazing, is that the presence you have in your body becomes your protection. Not the kind built from armor, but from attunement within yourself. When you begin to know what your body feels like in safety, you begin to notice when it's missing. You stop rationalizing the ache. You stop abandoning the flutter in your chest or the dread in your gut. You stop calling disconnection love. And this is how we leave relationships, situations, places, anything that harms us. Not always in certainty, but in clarity. Because once you've rebuilt that relationship with your body, Once you've remembered what love and care feels like, staying in places that harms you becomes unbearable, and entering them becomes unthinkable. The body won't let you. Here's a part we often miss, and we don't do this alone. When trauma happens in a relationship, healing must too. That isn't a subtle plug for therapy. It's simply the truth. And healing doesn't have to happen in therapy either. The future of mental health care is in community. From the moment we are born, our nervous system develops a response to the people around us. Through every gaze, touch, and tone of voice, we learn whether the world is safe or not. Our brains are wired with mirror neurons, which means that we don't just observe the emotions of others, we feel the emotions of others. Safety is contagious, and so is shame. This is why presence matters. When we sit with someone who is grounded, compassionate, attuned, our bodies begin to borrow that regulation. It's not performance, it is our biology. We call it co-regulation, the nervous system's ability to come into balance through connection. If trauma was the moment when your body learned it had to face the world alone, may healing be the moment that you realize you do not have to. While therapy can offer that, community offers it as well. A friend who holds eye contact without flinching, a partner who doesn't punish you for your boundaries, a community that believes your story, someone that holds space to bear the burden of the weight of your emotions because it has become too heavy for you to carry yourself. The body learns safety through repetition, not through explanation, but through experience. And so, even before we fully believe we are worthy of love, we begin to feel it in ourselves, because someone else's calm is making it safer to stay inside our own skin. Sometimes the body doesn't remember how to trust until somebody offers you the safety to do so. A friend who doesn't flinch when you cry, a therapist who mirrors your worth, a partner who honors your boundaries, a stranger who offers unexpected kindness on the street. These are not just gestures of kindness and care, they are nervous system offerings. Proof that presence can be healing, that somebody else's groundedness can help you find your own. Over time, this is how we return to the body. Not all at once, but breath by breath, through the quiet accumulation of co-regulated moments. Because embodiment is not just a personal practice, it's a relational one. To feel again, to choose again, to believe ourselves enough to not abandon the knowing that lives beneath the skin. This is the return to somatic truth, to the body as a compass, to the body as a protector, to the quiet, grounded wisdom that whispers that safety is love and love is safety. And when you believe that, not just in theory, but in your nervous system, you stop confusing what you've been taught love is with what you know love actually feels like. You stop performing it, and you start receiving it. Not because you tried harder, but because you've finally listened to the voice within that whispered to you, you never had to try for love. You are love. Thank you for listening.